All right, welcome to the first of its kind, world-changing manufacturers network. Lisa Ryan has her ears to the ground and her heart in the game. Get ongoing education and new connections right here with Lisa and the Manufacturers Network. Buckle your seat, listen, and spread the word. Here's Lisa.
Hey, it's Lisa Ryan. Welcome to the Manufacturers Network podcast. I'm here today with Katie Smith. Katie is the founder of Follow the Wild Path and serves as fractional CMO dedicated to the manufacturing sector, where she leverages strategic marketing expertise to drive growth and innovation for industry leaders. So, Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Share with us a little bit about your background and what led you to doing what you do.
Sure. So I have a very wild path for getting here, which was the inspiration for my business name. But I really started out, I have a degree in psychology and I have a master's in PR. And in between those, I spent several years as an outdoor guide. So if you had told me when I was in my early 20s that I would be in business, I would be in manufacturing, I would have thought you were crazy. But while I was an outdoor guide, I took people out I was a wrangler, horseback rides in Yellowstone, backcountry Nordic ski trips, and I take a lot of what I learned in guiding into my business. For example, as a wrangler leading a horseback ride, I'm never sitting straight in my saddle, just looking ahead. I'm always turned to the side. So I've got one eye looking ahead. What is coming into our field of view? Is there a tree down? Is there a bear or a moose that we need to navigate? And then I'm always looking back. How are my clients? Are they okay? Are they having fun? Are they learning about what we need to learn about that day? And so I take that approach into my business where we have a plan, we have a set path that I've mapped out. I know there's going to be something in the way. It's never going to go to plan. I think that's really important. But so I can navigate it, but I also have one eye looking at what's going on with our clients, what's going on in the world. What are the things that are going to impact the experience that we're creating? So I really bring that into my world. After a while, I was like, I don't want to be a guide forever. And I fell into PR. I worked in PR for a little while in the outdoor industry and then decided I didn't love that. And so I started working for a metal manufacturer in their marketing department. And I learned about inbound marketing. I learned about outbound marketing. And I really learned about the manufacturing industry, which I completely fell in love with. And so from there, I've worked in a lot of different industries. I've worked in nonprofit, I've worked in international work, I worked in finance, but really manufacturing is what has my heart. And so when I started this business, what I saw was a lot of people in that field. Manufacturing is really its own beast. And even within that, it's all different, whether you're e-commerce, you're in the building industry, food manufacturing, there's all these little worlds within that. But it's different. It's different than so many other industries. And what I saw was people just getting lost. They're following the general trends that are laid out, but they're not tailored for manufacturing. And often people are wasting money. They're not doing enough to get their word out there, or they're putting it out in the wrong channels. I really want to be here as a guide for the manufacturing industry to help people really streamline their marketing, get the most ROI out of it, and really help manufacturers succeed. That's really my passion.
So you use the term fractional CMO, and so if people aren't familiar with what exactly that means, can you share a little bit about what exactly that is?
Sure. So I think most people are starting to become familiar with a fractional CFO, a chief financial officer. And that's someone who is outside of the business who comes in and provides that financial guidance without being full-time. And so that's the same aspect. A fractional CMO is a chief marketing officer, but you don't have to hire one full-time. That can be really expensive. So I come in as a fractional, I come into your business on a time by time basis, depending on what we need to accomplish. And while I'm there, I'm part of your business. So it's different than when you hire an agency and they're outside the business. I
Okay.
am in your business. I'm working for you. I'm advocating for you. I'm coming from your side, but I'm not full time. So you might just need me for a project. Often I help people really build out their marketing teams. So I'm not trying to be like a consultant that builds a business around myself. I'm really trying to create systems and get the right people in place so that all their marketing team can really work. They know where they're going, they know where they're headed. But it really means that you can have marketing strategy, high level marketing strategy, like all the big companies, without having to pay that price of hiring somebody full time and also trying to find them work to do for that full-time business. So I think it's really great for small to medium-sized companies. It gives them a competitive edge without having to invest so much money up front.
Okay. All right, great. So what are you seeing as far as some of the common marketing challenges that manufacturing companies are facing now, and how do you help them overcome them?
I think it really bleeds into a lot of all the regular challenges that marketing is facing, that manufacturing is facing. So you have tight budgets, tight margins that you're trying to work with. Manufacturing, there's quite a bit of overhead. Whereas if you're SaaS selling service, it's like a different kind of overhead. I think the two ways to split manufacturing would be B2B, business to business. Are you selling your product to businesses, which means that you're selling in large quantities? Your timeline for selling is really long, or are you selling B2C, business to customer, where you may be really dabbling in e-commerce? You are selling direct to the consumer. It's a lot more fast paced. And so there's a different way that you need to approach. You cannot approach those two the same. And I think a lot of the marketing messages that we get are generic. This is the lightning bullet that you need for your marketing, and it's just not true. If you are a B2C company and you have e-commerce, you need to be investing a lot in your digital advertising. You need to be investing a lot in your email marketing chain. And if you're B2B, business to business, then you probably have a sales team, and your marketing needs to be supporting that sales team. It's a completely different approach. And if you mix those up, you're not going to have as much success. And I think that is really where people they get confused. And then there's just so much information out there. One thing, so the place that I start, that I think, how do you tell what you should use and what you shouldn't? It's always with who is your customer and what are their needs. So building out that customer persona, and not super, we don't really care if they go to Starbucks and they have a Labradoodle. What we care about is what are their needs, what are their worries, and what do they need to feel comfortable and to have that problem solved. And there are different stages that they go down. We talk about the customer journey, where when they're at the very first stage, they're not ready to buy yet, especially in B2B. And so we have to understand like the path that our customer follows in order to purchase. Is it long? Is it short? What does that look like? And then we need to understand, how do we hold their hands throughout that whole process? How do they want to have their hand held? What information do they need to make them feel comfortable? And that's really the key to marketing. And it's custom for everybody. Unfortunately, there is just no one size fits all.
So how have you seen the shift towards this digital transformation impacting marketing strategies in the manufacturing world?
In B2C, e-commerce it's so competitive and it's so fast, but it's so easy to track. You can see what's working and what's not working on a day-to-day basis, which is really exciting. I think for both areas, it's really the data that you can draw and learn from. We have more and more access to data. We have more and more ways that we can tell if our messaging, what we're putting out there, is actually working at different stages. For B2B, I think what we're seeing with technology, with things coming in, is really understanding, you can understand how long it takes somebody from discovering who you are to making that decision. And you can see how they follow your path a little bit more clearly. So you can see data points. What are the activities that we're doing that are bringing people in? What are the activities that we're doing that are educating them so that they become a good lead for sales? That's really a big piece in B2B that we talk about, is that handoff from marketing to sales and then back to marketing. How can we make that smoother? And we have so much technology gives us so much more access to data so that we can see it clearly. We're not just making guesses. We can actually see, we can track digitally the path that people are taking, which is scary if you think about it too much. But if you think about using it for good, which is I say, let's use marketing for good, then we can be so much more of service to our customers. If we know what they need, we can give them more of that without them having to wade through the things that they don't need. And so that's where I think we can really use technology to learn from, to give our people more of what they want, more of what's helpful, to make their day easier, to make their choices easier. That's really how I like to position our marketing, because when our customers win, we win.
Yeah. And you've covered a little bit of it, but are there other unique marketing strategies that manufacturers are finding effective when driving growth and innovation?
Yes, definitely. We can't even begin this conversation without talking about AI. That is really transitioning. I think it's like the manufacturing age when we started mechanizing production, right? I feel like it's a new kind of revolution. Use AI, manufacturing companies will use AI throughout their service. So they can use it to create benefits within their service for their customers. So whatever they're producing, if their technology that they're using, I worked with a company who makes CNC machines, right? And it's all programmable technology that they make. And so they need to look at how are they going to integrate AI into their software, into how people are going to use their machines. So then that leads into our marketing, where we can really use it to streamline our work, to streamline our process and marketing. We can use it to track our data analytics. We can use it to find trends really fast. And we can use it to learn from. I think the big thing that we need to remember is that it's not human, and our customers are humans. So you have to make sure that you're double checking your AI, whatever you're using. If you're using it for content creation, if you're using it for aggregation, you need to double check to make sure that it is still being human, it is still being correct. But you can use it to just take away some steps in your marketing process. It's really great for synthesizing information, for creating reports, for picking out the details and all of the data. You just have to be careful with your company needs to have its own AI policies so that you
Right.
have thought clearly about how you are going to regulate this within. If you're working I was talking to somebody in Singapore, and they have AI regulations. If you're in the UK, you're probably going to have those quicker. If you're in the States, then it's the Wild West and you need to create your own, which is really important. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's just going to free up more creativity and help us, I think, eventually eliminate our own bias and really look at the facts so that we can produce marketing materials that are more effective, that convert better, that are more helpful to our customers, and that ultimately help our companies grow.
Yeah, I think it's so funny when you were talking about the keeping in fact that AI is not human, because I can't tell you how many times I have had to tell ChatGPT or Claude, and don't make stuff up. Because it's like it just hallucinates and comes up with some stuff, and you're like, where in the world did you get that? Most companies in this industry would do that. I'm like, don't assume, people. So yeah, really important to check. And again, the humanness behind marketing is what keeps it interesting. If we did something on AI and then used 100% of what it did all the time, it takes away our opportunity to add our own personality and our own skills and background and the individuality of the clients that we're working with.
Yeah, I think the other thing I think about is that humans are smart and they learn quickly. So we know when we're being marketed to, and then
Right.
we get bored and we want something new. And
Hmm.
so the marketing world adapts. And we're always going to be marketing to humans, I think, in my lifetime at least. Never say never,
Yeah.
and so those humans are going to want something different.
Right.
And so we're going to continue to evolve. That's always what's happened. We've shifted our marketing, we've changed our marketing based on the tastes, the ideas, and the whims of humans. And that's still who we're selling to. So I always keep that in mind when I'm having discussions about AI.
Yeah. And along those same lines, a lot of the decision making that we're making is data driven, is AI driven. So, can you talk about the role of data driven decision making in manufacturing marketing?
Yeah. So I think that is key. And if you're B2C, it's going to be a lot easier for you because you are, especially if you're e-commerce, because that trail that people take on your website from your advertisement to your website, um, navigating your website into your cart, purchasing, that's going to be a lot easier to track because it's mostly online. And so you check that daily and you can get that information daily. If you're B2C, it's a little squirrelier. And so you need to come up with ways when you're creating content. You can ask your AI to help you come up with these. And then depending on what software you use, they will have their own AI that can help track this. I'd say whatever software you have, when they are coming out with new pieces of AI and they send you the information or the little bubble pops up, don't just close it, read it.
Yeah.
And see like what you can do and what's going on. But I think it's about the way that you create and put content out there. B2B, there's a lot more, it's a lot more of a squirrely path. People, they come in different areas of your customer journey. They waddle around for a long time. There may be a level of decision maker. So maybe the first person who discovers you often is not the decision maker.
Right.
So the way that you create your content and the way that you put it out there is going to be really important for you to make those data-driven decisions. So you need to understand where your acquisition is coming from. Is it your advertising? What does that look like? Is it SEO? I've had some B2B, the highest acquisition that we have is SEO, which is strange and not the same for B2C. It's not that strange, but it's just the way that the customer, we built it from what we know about our customers. So how are people coming into you? Is it word of mouth? Is it advertising? Is it this? And you can ask people these things in different ways. You could also measure it. So maybe you put out a flyer or you put out you go to a conference, right? That's a huge acquisition point. And you create content and maybe there's just a little piece of it that is specific to that conference. So maybe you have, so this is where AI is so great and where using all these platforms are. Maybe you go to 7 to 10 conferences a year and you can have a similar landing page or similar way to people to contact you, but you can just have a different landing page it's the same, but the link is different or some of the language is different and AI can help you create those really quickly. So that this conference that I went to in Atlanta actually produced more than the bigger conference that I went to in Anaheim, whatever it is. Thinking about the full process first. How am I going to know if this is going to work? Instead of just saying, I'm remembering in my head that I felt like I talked to a lot of people at this conference. So having ways and then using your CRM, and that is where AI and CRMs is so helpful. It can just do so much depending on your CRM, but all of them are coming up with great AI that can help categorize people, can help connect people to different acquisition points, right? And then from that acquisition point, you can create what's the next touch point? What's the next touch point? What's the next touch point? And all of that can be automated, or a huge amount of that can be automated so that, and what that does, it's twofold. So number one, it takes a lot of work to build a system, but once the system is going, you don't have to do much with it. You can just let it go. You can just watch it. You make the tweaks where you make the tweaks and you get the data points from there. But it also just allows our customers to navigate in the way that they want to as well. We can see where they're going. We give them options for learning more about our product, more about our company, and then we keep pushing them towards the sales pipeline. But when they're transferred to sales, when they're ready, when they decide they're ready, sales has a much better qualified candidate. So that's what I think that's really great. I think CRM is a really important piece that people need to be looking at, and it needs to be connected with at least all of the digital pieces. And then salespeople need to be, sometimes they have to manually add things in, but AI can make that quicker too. But that nurturing process needs to be tracked through your CRM. That is so important. It's key to know. And it's not, I think the misconception about marketing is that we just want to manipulate the data to make it look like we're doing a good job. But for me, I use the data as a map. To read the data, you have to understand. I want to know if something I'm doing is only bringing people into the website, but they're not doing anything on the website. Then that piece of acquisition is not working, and we need to change it. And I need to understand that. I need to know. I really like conversion rates. That's the kind of data that I really like to see, because conversion rates show us action towards our goal of getting the sale. Whereas, how many people are coming to our website? Great, a lot of people are coming, but if they're not making the next step, a lot of people are reading our content or they're reading our emails, but they're not taking action. Like, I need to know what's going to support them into taking the next step down this journey. And I need to know how long, and I need to know how many touch points does it take to get us to the sale. And so that's what AI can help us with within your CRM.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's a balance between the long-term strategic marketing goals with the immediate needs and constraints that many manufacturing companies have. How have you found a good way to balance both of those, so that who's coming in, how long it takes them to convert, all of that kind of stuff, but still in the long term, but still get those short-term sales as well?
If you're B2C, that you have the ability to change and to drive that. And so I think when you understand like where people are in that pipeline, and when they make that decision to make the sale, or to buy the product, or to contact sales, then if I come in, there's usually people who are just hanging out there. They're just haven't had the push. We put a lot of onus on people to make the decision, when really we can make the decision for them. Like, we can push them to balance. You don't want to push people too far. But often people are just like, they found out about us, they downloaded something, they'll come back when they're ready. And the answer is you're leaving a lot of people. You're asking them to make a lot of effort to make a decision, when really we can take the friction away by reminding them with really, come in, let's see where we are in the pipeline. We don't really know. Okay, great. Then these are all the contacts that we have, or this is like an important sale, or not. I don't like to do sales, but here's a value add that we can do to get that low hanging fruit first. And then those are also our test people. What makes people act? What makes people ready to go? That's hitting those low hanging fruit. And sometimes when you're in it, I think that's the other thing, is when you're in it, manufacturing budgets are not big. I think the average is 3% of gross, 3 to 15%. And I'd say 15% is more on that e-commerce side, in companies that are larger and have a lot of competition, right? I think most manufacturers fall in that 3% or even lower. That means there's not a lot of people who are doing all the pieces. People have to wear multiple hats. The other piece that you can do is to bring in experts. That's what I like to do. It's why I haven't gone the agency route, is because I like to come in and see who's on the team already. What do we already have covered? And then depending on the business goals of the company, and then how we want marketing to support those goals, we can fill in the gaps. So sometimes I do bring in an agency that I partner with if we need multiple roles filled, and they can do it, and they do it really well. Or sometimes we just need someone to do advertising, or sometimes we just need someone to come in and do content writing, and we can pull and plug that in there. So I think that's important for being lean. And how do we have a big style marketing team that's really how can we operate at that big style on a pretty lean, how can we run our marketing team lean the way the rest of the company is running lean in manufacturing? That's really how I like to look at it.
What are some of the trends or changes in consumer behavior that manufacturers should be preparing for so that they can stay ahead of the curve?
So people are more skeptical now, I think, than ever before. Take a look. I think about my behavior. People know the trick. They know they're being sold to. I hate using the word authenticity because I feel like it's been co-opted, but telling the truth, I think, is the best way. It's really about building trust with your people, because there's so many ways that companies have been not trustworthy in the past, so people are skeptical. The other thing is that the internet means that everybody can do all their own research. It's overwhelming. And so customers, they want to feel like they can trust you. They want to feel a little bit more like this is generalized. You need to really understand your customer before. There are some people who don't want to feel like we're on the same level. Like they want you to be the very buttoned up expert. It's really dependent on your customer. But in general, people don't want BS. They know that when you say these statistics, maybe this is your best statistic that you've ever had for success. And so it's important to tell the truth and to be very honest without a lot of fluff in there. People can see through the fluff now. And it's as soon as they see you being a little bit untrustworthy, that's it. They're gone. They're going to go find someone else because they can find them on the internet, and because there are so many choices. So it really is right now, it's like the customer's game, and we're just trying to be a part of it.
Right. As we're getting to the end of our time together, what advice would you give to manufacturing leaders who are considering bringing on a fractional CMO but are really unsure how it fits into their overall growth strategy?
So here's the main thing. A fractional CMO is in the C-suite. So it's strategic, and you're going to need to allow that person access and conversation with the CEO to talk business, to understand business strategy, with the CFO to understand, especially with the CFO, to understand the financials, what products are working, what products are not, understanding the seasonality of the business. You're going to need to let them have access to understand all the different parts of the business and how they fit together, because marketing, as much as it is external, to tell that truth, to understand what's going on, what needs to be said, it can't be a silo. So you need to trust that person to be able to go through your company, learn. Even in the back end, marketing needs to understand what's happening during production, so that if they say something, they can say, wow, we know that our production, especially right now, oh my gosh, this is something that I've done with several companies, where we even just started saying what lead time was. Like, we added it into our social media. We added it into a big part of our newsletter. This is what back in 2020, when all the lead times were crazy, we were just upfront about it. And we said, hey, you can expect lead times on these products to be 2 to 3 weeks. And these products are 6 to 8 weeks out. And I wouldn't know that if I wasn't able to talk to production and understand, so that I didn't make false promises at the beginning and then they get to sales, or worse, they make the sale and then they have a bad experience because I haven't told them the truth, because I didn't know the truth. So you need to understand that marketing is there to understand the whole business, so that they can present the business in the best way and actually find the right fit of customer for you.
Okay, awesome. If somebody did want to continue the conversation and ask more marketing questions or learn more about your services, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
So my website is followthewildpath.com. but I actually like to show up on LinkedIn and have a lot of conversations. I could talk marketing all day. So you can find me there. My name is Katie Smith. So there's like a million of us. So you have to search Katie
Yeah.
Smith Wild Path Consulting, and then you'll find me there. I love to have more conversation or answer questions. I know that it can feel intimidating and you're unsure, but I really think that manufacturing is in such an incredible place right now. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity throughout the world, but especially I think where I am in the US. And I'm really excited about our future.
All right, Katie, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I'm Lisa Ryan, and this is the Manufacturers Network Podcast. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Manufacturers Network Podcast. Do me a favor and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues so we can grow this network and connect more fantastic folks just like you. You can either send your buddies to the website at manufacturers-network.com or share the Manufacturers Network podcast on your LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever you and your industry friends hang out. The bigger and faster we grow the network, the stronger and deeper the community we'll all have. Thanks again, and I appreciate you.